All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, the role of media during election is to ensure that citizens make responsible, informed choices rather than acting out of ignorance or misinformation. Information serves as a checking function by ensuring that elected representatives uphold their oath of office and carry out the wishes of those who elected them. It helps people have a comprehensive understanding of all of the issues that introduces the public to only the candidates who have the best chance of winning. Now, it also encourages people to vote for the right candidate based on the media's informed opinions. Now, how do you think the media works during elections? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at WayShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. All right, so this is actually an interesting conversation, right? Because there is traditional media and now social media.
Yeah.
And if you look at the workings of the media right now in this election season, you would know clearly where the direction of social media is going and what candidate social media is, projecting, right? And traditional media is a bit sketchy because of things like what I just took about the NBC story, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like if you come out to say this is what you're standing for, there will be some level of, attack or fines and all of that. So I don't know. What do you think? How do you think the media is playing out this 2023 elections? What's your thoughts?
So it's the technology, number one, has just created channels of communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that is very good. Like you just said, we have the downside, we have the upside. So when we look at traditional media and social media, I would say that social media has helped to amplify the messages that normally go through the channels, the traditional channels. For example, we have so many young, we have our youth who are now very much interested in politics, who were not interested in politics, not because they were not interested, but because they were not even aware.
They were not informed.
They were not informed. They were not aware of what was going on in the country. But now everybody is on social media. You understand? So they see everything that is happening day to day, and they have become more interested in what's going on in the country. So if you ask me, I would say that the media actually plays a huge role, because they have different powers. They have the power to tell a story in the way that they want to tell a story. They have the power to distort stories. They have the power to influence the values and, the different ways in which people do politics. So they have the power to change the order of politics in Nigeria. So we have to pay serious attention to how they do their media coverage.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me bring in our guest, right? David Adeleke is a writer, communications strategist, and media analyst. He is the communications lead at Netscoin, a company building and investigating in Web3 products for frontier markets, and managing editor of Bridge Netcoin Media Property. He also publishes the Communique, that's a media and tech analysis newsletter with over 25,000 subscribers. He is a media and journalism fellow with the Charles Scott Institute. He holds a degree in mass communication from Covenant University, a certificate in storytelling from modern media from Yale University, and a certificate in integrated brand experience from Orange Academy, Lagos. And he's joined us live from Abuja. Hi, David.
Hey guys.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fine, fine. So, David, thank you so much, first of all, for joining us. This is an interesting conversation to have, because I have been asking myself, if you go abroad and you are watching, especially when it's the election season, you're watching Fox, you're watching CNN, you're watching, you know clearly that these people, they mean business when it comes to elections, because they are not smiling. They know that whatever comes out of that television house would either make or break the elections, would either make or mar the candidates and all of that. So they are very deliberate about how they are pushing that narrative, head on, to make sure that in their opinion, the right candidate or their candidate of choice emerges as, the elected leaders, right? So what are your thoughts as opposed to the media, how it should work? And in Nigeria, is our media truly working like we are in the election season?
So I think it's important to understand the context that the media operates in the US, and it's important to understand the context that the media currently operates in Nigeria, right? The US media is way more developed. There's a lot more money within media companies in the US than there is in media companies in Nigeria. And so what that means is
They can do more.
it's less likely for people to influence elections or influence media opinion financially. What is more likely to obtain in the US is that media houses sway in the direction of certain ideologies. So, like we were talking about before we came on there, CNN is clearly leaning towards a political ideology, right? Fox is clearly leaning towards another political ideology. There are no, you can't mince words about it. But in Nigeria, what is more likely is that media houses, there should be objectivity, but that's an ideal world. There really isn't that objectivity. What you see is that people support candidates that, first of all, the proprietor of the media house supports, right? So if a media house is owned by someone who has political ties to one of the candidates, you will see it in their reporting. Or if a media house is getting paid, right, or getting funded directly or indirectly by a certain political party, you will see it in the reporting. So it's easier to influence media opinion with money here in Nigeria versus in the US, where it's mostly political ideology. So I think that's the most interesting dynamic, and that's the most interesting thing to pay attention to as we move into election season. And don't forget, campaigns are not officially started yet. So whatever we are seeing now is a fragment of what is really going to happen from September.
No, but okay, so David, let me take you back a bit. Do you think that media houses should be objective? Given that in the US, like you rightly said, you clearly know yes. who CNN is backing, and you know who Fox News is backing, right? They are very clear. Mm-hmm. So do you think that we need those kinds of objectivity now? Because like you rightly pointed out, I was at a conference on Sunday and they were talking about the power of media and how it's impacting fake news. I said the truth is that in Nigeria, media houses are poor. Media houses do not have money. Your journalists are broke. They don't go, that's why the ideology of brown envelopes will continue to thrive, because they keep journalists perpetually poor. It's deliberate, because it is what I tell you to go and write or report, and it's what you report because I am the one paying you, right? So if we continue to have those media houses that are not funded, or most times they are looking forward to funds from the government, how can we ever find genuinity in our media reporting or reportage, or whatever, how you want to put it?
So I personally don't believe objectivity is possible, at least not all the time. I'm not the type of person who will tell you the media is meant to be objective. I don't believe the media can be objective. I think the media either sways in the direction of public opinion, what they consider acceptable to be public, or the media sways in the direction of whoever is paying the piper and dictating the tune. Mm-hmm. Right? So objectivity is really difficult to achieve, and you can see it in the US, right? I don't think many media companies in the US no longer pretend to be objective. Especially not in this age of social media, where engagement is largely driven by commentary, analysis, and opinions, right? That's why even on CNN, most watched shows, or the people who CNN build their shows around, are not reporters, right? They are talk show hosts. You see Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, all these people, right? They're not reporting stories, right? Yes, they are reporting stories, but they are also providing context and providing some analysis. That's the direction that the media is going now. So when we come to Nigeria, I don't necessarily expect, especially the traditional media, I don't expect any objectivity from the traditional media, to be honest. But I think that's where citizen journalism and online media come to play. And which brings me to my most important point. I think this election that we're going to have in 2023 is the single, this is the election where you see the single biggest impact of the online media on the election. Because what you're seeing playing out is whoever is going to vote for, let's say, APC, PDP, or even Labour Party, most of those people, their minds are already made up, right? But you also have this very large section of people who did not come out to vote in 2019, who are up for grabs. So all the narratives, all the reporting, agenda sewing, and all those things are really targeted at those people who did not come out to vote in 2019. And that's about, in 2019, we had 82.3 million people who registered, roughly 82.3 million people who registered to vote. And only 28.6 million people voted in the presidential election. So that's 53.7 million people who did not turn up. If you can convince 53.7 million people to vote for somebody, it does not matter how many people voted in the last election. They are irrelevant to the amount of people. If you can convince all those people, or even half of them, do you understand? If you can convince half of those people to vote for one person, you've won the election already. And what even now makes it more interesting is that 10.4 more million people have registered to vote this year, according to INEC, right? So now we have 96.2 million people who have registered to vote in the next election. So remove 28.2 million from 96.2. Those people, well, give or take, because some of those people may not be allowed to vote now, but give or take, that large amounts, those are the people that really matter in this election. And that's why I think whatever conversations are going on social media will have tremendous impact on how people turn out or turn up to vote in 2023, number one. And it also, you're already seeing it, it also determines the conversations that go on around all the candidates that we are seeing right now in the media. So for example, I'm not going to name any names, but there is the obvious social media darling out of all the three major candidates. There's the obvious social media darling. And the conversations right now are not about who can do what or
oh wow. I think we're having
who is able to talk, right?
Go ahead. Sorry, David, we lost you for like a second, so maybe you should come back again. You said the conversation.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. You said the conversation is not about who can
so
what.
The conversations are around. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Oh, I think we're having trouble with. This is why we run away from Zoom. But hey, I get what he's saying, right? Yes, this election seems like social media is going to play out, because don't forget that in 2015 there was a role of social media hugely, right, that influenced, and that's why, what's his name, all the people that branded Buhari, they can't even bring out their head now, because if they come, it's like the social media guys were waiting to attack, and all of that. But there was an obvious rebranding that happened, and packaging. That we say, oh, brand it, just package it and everything. There was a lot of packaging that happened.
Well, do you think that it was because of the packaging?
Well, so it's two things.
I think at that stage, Nigerians were just fed up.
That's my point. So wait, that's what I'm saying. You see, there was a packaging that was done, and there was a narrative that was sold.
Okay.
Right? When they brought out the package was that this person was known for anti-corruption.
Yeah.
This person was an ex-military person that could tackle the what's it called, then Boko Haram that was just budding, right? It was just brewing then. It was not as blatant like this, that we have this Boko Haram today and everywhere is kidnapping, banditry and everything is just like, it's a normal thing. But I'm saying that, so there was a narrative that was sold, and there was a packaging that was done. So that narrative met the package, and it's now like it was a hit according to how they put it. So I'm saying that yes, I'm seeing that the 23 elections now
It's
is looking like, because now again we are at that point where we are fed up. We're at that point where we are tired, and it's almost like, okay, let somebody come in. But I hear David is back now. David, do you want to quickly wrap up on that thought? Go ahead.
Where was I? So yes, like I was saying, so the real conversations are around one person. Like, let's be honest, the conversations are around one person, and because there is so much attention around him, and there's this very large segment of Nigerians who are registered, but are not yet. There's no certainty that these people are going to come out to vote, right? So all the conversations are now around, let's sway opinion. So it's either let's get these people to sit at home and believe that it's not possible for this person to get all the votes that are concurrent to the attention he's getting. Let's get them to either not come, or let's get them to vote for this other person. So that's really what you're seeing around the narratives. And I was listening to what you were saying just now about how this is eerily similar to 2015, where not we, but a lot of people are looking up to this messiah figure, if we want to call it that. It's similar, and I think what we really need to do what the media really needs to do is give as much as possible, right? Give equal critiquing to all the candidates. So it's not like one particular candidate is getting more criticized or vilified. I mean, there is a particular candidate who is consistently vilified online, but maybe not so much in the traditional media. So all the candidates need to be assessed and critiqued properly, and then let's present them as they really are.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily as we want them to be.
I like that, this thing you just said. I love it. But you see, all these obedient people, they will come for you with punching gloves. Because the truth is, I like us to be very critical. They said definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? You can't do because where we are now, we are back to 2015. You understand? Where we are looking for a messiah to solve Nigeria's problem.
There's a difference.
Hold on, we'll go on a break. We'll go on a very short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing how the media works during elections, and we have David Adeleke with us. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. You can also tweet at us at PlusTvAfrica1 with the hashtag WayShow. You know, it's so interesting that now, even us on Waze now, almost all our topic is politics. So we're in line with the 2023. But you wanted to disagree with me on something, saying that this is not exactly the same as 2015. Yeah, go ahead.
So I don't think it's exactly the same. In 2015, we were tired. We had had enough, and we wanted a change. So what they did was they packaged someone who looked like the solution. So some people say they packaged the problem to look like a solution. So whatever, they packaged someone and presented him to us. And because we were in dire need of a change, we accepted this guy. But guess what? You know what's different right now, Uwa? They have not just only packaged somebody. This time around, we've gone further to choose wiser or wisely. We are not just choosing someone whom the media has packaged. We're choosing someone who has gone ahead.
Once beaten, that has a track record.
So we're now looking at track record. We're looking at patterns. You've gone ahead. You've done something. If you go, see, there was something I posted on my social media page about a week ago. It was a newspaper clip or speaking about Buhari. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say his name. Speaking about
the president,
president, you know. And this newspaper was dated, it was like 12 or whatever something years ago, or 20 something years ago. So the narrative at that time is the same narrative today. So we did not go to check his track record when we chose him.
You think so?
I think so, Uwa. let me tell you what I believe.
So
we wanted a change. And you see, you talked about them talking about anti-corruption, blah, blah, blah. It was their strategy. Everybody has a right to bring up the, whatever strategy they want to use. So they came up with the corruption thing. And at that time, we're also tired of our leaders stealing from us. So we bought into their strategy. But we forgot to look at track records. So this time around, I think it's very different. We are not just looking at Obedient the way he is, or Peter Obi. We are looking at what he has done. There's a track record.
And you're looking at what Tinubu has done and what
Thank
Atiku
you.
has done. But let me come back to you, David.
So it's totally
So do you agree with Mani?
Which part of what she said?
So the part she's saying that we're not making, because I said that this is the definition of insanity, if you ask me, because it's almost like we are at that Messiah syndrome point again that we were in 2015. No. Wait now, sure you don't finish your argument. Let me finish my own. I am disagreeing with her, saying that she is saying that we are not at the same place, that this time around we're wiser, we're checking track records, we're doing all of those background checks and all of that. Do you agree with that?
So I have a slightly different view to that. I do think that we are back in 2015. But here's the difference. There is a difference, and this is where I agree with you. A lot of people, again, this is a hypothesis, so it's not proven. But I think if you do talk to a lot of people why they are voting for this particular candidate, a lot of it is because people are tired of the status quo. Right? It's almost like an offshoot or a consequence of the NSAS movement. It's continuing itself. People are tired. But the difference is this particular person that a lot of people are putting their hopes on, like she said, has a track record. He does. He has, you can go, I lived in Anambra State for a few years while he was governor. I've been to Anambra State since he left office. There's a very huge difference, right? There's a very huge difference between what it is now and what it was when he was there. So he actually has that track record. And based on credentials, based on personality, based on ideology, ideas, whatever it is you want to call it, it feels like the person that fits what Nigeria currently is, because this is a very young country. Look at the percentage of young people who are voting. This is a very young country, right? And for so long, we've had young people voting between very old candidates, like septuagenarians, 70 and above. This is the first time in a long time, okay, maybe except Goodluck Jonathan, but this is the first time in a long time that people have a relatively younger, it's not young,
but younger.
Right?
It's younger than Nigeria.
Younger candidates that they can vote, who represents their political ideals. So that's the key word here, right? Political ideals. Now, whether or not those political ideals will translate into actual reality, we don't know. We are going to find out in 2023, right? But it is obvious that there is a shift in how people perceive or what people want. Right? There is a shift in momentum. And even if this candidate does not win this election, the die has already been cast. Things are never going to be the same again. Right?
Yeah.
Certain events in the media, outside the media, on social media, traditional media, certain events have been set in motion that can't be stopped. So even if this particular election doesn't work out the way people want it to, I'm willing to bet, if I were a betting man, I'm willing to bet at least 90% that the next election will work out the way people want it to. If, again, and here's the key word, if people keep up the momentum and sustain the pressure.
Okay.
Right? So I'm not a political analyst, right? But I'm saying, when it comes to the media now, there is an obvious media favorite now. It's the same thing as 2015. In 2015, there was an obvious media favorite, but the only difference is that person was packaged. This candidate that we're talking about, it's not.
Thank you. That's what
it's
I'm
not
saying.
PR, right? This is organic. This is actual organic growth. This is not someone saying this person is reformed, vote for him, is going to do this. No. This is someone saying, I have
done this.
Some answers that I think are relevant to you. I empathize with your problem. I empathize with your pain. vote for me. That's where the difference is.
So David,
Yeah, I agree with you.
go ahead.
There is still that Messiah, that Messiah narrative, right? That people think this person, even if he becomes president, maybe that solves 5% of the problem. There's still 95% of the problem that we need to fix, right?
Absolutely.
And exactly. So, but I think if he wins, it's a massive statement for Nigerians, right? For young Nigerians. But even if he doesn't win, if he does win in the election, it's still a massive statement. And there is this entire voting bloc that is awake and will not take nonsense anymore.
Okay, so I like what you're saying, but you see, I want to take you back to what you had mentioned before about criticism. And this is where I need people to understand the role of media. So how can we also start to educate people? Because part of our job in the media space is to throw out all the options. We must say the good, the bad, the ugly. We must do a SWOT analysis on each candidate. We must be able to say, you know what, this is this person's strength, their weaknesses, their threats, and their opportunities, right? We must be able to do that clear analysis on each candidate. But what I find is when the media tries to come out to then explain certain critical things, like making you see the bigger picture, right? We as young people, we are just so, what do I call it? We resist that criticism. You must be open to criticism. You know, if you really
have to understand where people are.
Go ahead. Yes, let me hear you.
I think you have to understand where people are coming from. There is unprecedented frustration in the country right now. It's palpable, right? For certain kinds of people. Now, I won't mention any names. For certain kinds of people to come out and say certain things, it shows you that it's touching everybody, right? It's touching everybody. So when people are upset that this is the person that we are going for,
he's on my side, but he didn't know.
There's even something also very interesting. There is really only one candidate. Let's be honest. There's only one candidate who has been objectively criticized in the media, and that's this candidate that we are talking about. Let's be very honest, right? He's the one candidate who has been so thoroughly scrutinized in the media that everything positive, everything negative about him, everything he says is fact checked, right? Before we started this conversation, I was on the cable, right? He's been so thoroughly. You can search for articles with this guy's name. He's been so thoroughly scrutinized and fact checked by the media, but that same level of scrutiny is not being extended to other candidates. Where that scrutiny is really coming from is from the online media, right? So if you're saying, I understand what you're saying when you say that all the candidates should be scrutinized, but it's really only one candidate who is thoroughly scrutinized more than others, especially in the traditional media, right? Where you really find maybe scrutiny of the other two candidates is online. Right, so we have to consider that this is where people are coming from. People feel like, for example, that if you can even go back to 2020 when there were police brutality protests, it felt like the traditional media was against any sort of progressive movements, right? The coverage really started online. When the pressure got too much, the traditional media had to, well, not all of them, but most of them had to cave into the pressure. But most of it started online, right? So when you criticize people for being adamant or being protective of a particular candidate, you have to do so within context. You have to understand where people are coming from. Again, I'm not defending anyone, right? I'm just trying to contextualize the conversation here. I'm not saying these people are right or these people are wrong. If you notice, I haven't said any of that. I haven't picked any side. But I am saying that when we want to have these conversations, especially when it comes to media coverage, scrutiny, and all of that, we have to contextualize all these things. Right?
But when
we're talking about.
Okay, let me hear Manny. I think Manny has a question.
Okay, so I just feel like objectivity in journalism helps aims to help the people to make up their minds about a story by providing the facts to them. So if you say that you've provided the fact and then there's a lot of scrutiny, you know, on a particular candidate, then it's because the people have heard the story, they've seen the facts, and they have a right to judge. You understand? They have a right to scrutinize. And the reason why you think today it's different from how it was yesterday is because today we are talking back. Traditional media did not give us any room to speak back. So the difference right now with social media is that people now have the right to speak their minds. So now you think that they're scrutinizing. They have always scrutinized. It's just that now we're hearing them.
Now there's a platform.
That's what I think.
So let's try to tie this up nicely, right? If we're thinking solution, right? We cannot help but understand that the biggest yes, social media has a massive impact, you know, as to the direction of what's it called, the elections and all of that. So how do we begin to control that we are not mistaking the narrative? Because again, the reason I talked about that criticism is that even when you have people with genuine intentions, just to give you, like, opening your eyes to probably a blind spot as regards these general elections that are coming up in 2023. There's just too many negativity and attacks. You find that we are just all out, and social media is where all of these things is happening, right? So how do we begin to find a way to put a balance? Because whether you like it or not, you must know everything, right? You then now decide to say, okay, this is still my choice based on all the information that I have gathered. There will always be propaganda. There will always be, what's it called, agendas flying left, right, and center. Who knows whether we have an agenda here? Only God knows that one. You know, so I'm saying that's the reality. And very soon the envelopes will start to come out, the Ghana must go will start to come out, the dollars will start to come out. Then the person that was talking yesterday will now begin to talk something else today. You know, that is what we'll see play out as the elections are coming. So how do we find a way to strike that balance in the media, to keep it true, to keep it objective, and to keep it honest, you know, just because we want to serve a larger population, to show them what their options truly are?
So that's a great question. And this is how I'm going to tie up the conversation. It also informs the work that I do with my newsletter, Communicate. And what I try to do is analyze the media, business and the strategy of media. What I think we really need is we need more financially healthy and robust media companies. Companies that have healthy business models, or media companies that have healthy business models. Unfortunately, we don't have that right now, at least the majority. What we have is a generation of media proprietors who have, and this is not to discount or discredit any of their hard work, but who have grown up in a society where they believe that the goal is to build a media platform so big and then maybe sell it to the highest bidder. And so it's in that kind of environment, it's difficult to be objective. In that kind of environment, it's difficult to have integrity and stand your ground. Right? So those are the things that we have to start thinking about. That's where really the balance is. Building media companies that are financially healthy and that have robust business models.
Absolutely.
Like I said, in the US, CNN is Democrats and Fox News is Republican. Not because of financial incentives, although there may be financial incentives, but because that is the political ideology that their proprietors are leaning into, or the media houses themselves are leaning into. So let's bring that to Nigeria. A more likely outcome is where we have media houses that are leaning towards certain political views because they genuinely believe that is the best or the most optimal view for them as a media company, not because this is the person who has the highest, who has the most money to give us, or who has spent the most money on us. So when we get to that point where media companies are financially healthy and they have robust business models, like I've said, then we can start to have better conversations, and there can be more balanced coverage. Because again, there's no point trying to ask people to be objective, because I don't think that's going to happen. That'll just be us keeping ourselves.
Well, I don't think, I don't know if journalism cannot be controlled, but this, I think media houses all have policies already put in place to help them to, slant their reporting. Yeah, strike the balance. So when you start controlling or trying to, keep them in one particular way, then it's no longer journalism. So I just think that we should just rely on the policies that have been put in place to control them.
Yeah, you have a comment. Quickly. Okay,
this is Austin from Delta, your regular fan. Please, you have to draw a line. Emergency reporters in social media is dangerous because they don't care a hoot and can announce results when not officially released. They are not professionally trained. They do follow the 5 W's guide, no ethics. For the mainstream media, the problem is media ownership palaver. However, which is very true. However, no matter what, there's need to strike a balance. A seasoned journalist and poet wrote a piece recently that some persons attributed to working for his master. As the fourth estate of the realm, we need to be agenda setter and gatekeepers by profiling candidates devoid of political jingoism.
Good topic. Thank you so much, Austin. Is it a jingoism?
What is that?
Well, I totally agree with you, Austin. But I mean, as we wrap up, David, if you had something to say, honestly, what would that be? As we are, in the media space, we get agenda. My agenda. Let me be clear here now, because somebody will not call me that one. My agenda is to see Nigeria working. So whoever will deliver a great country for me, because I just believe so much in Nigeria, we have too much potential to be where we are, right? That's my agenda. So that's my clear agenda. And that's why when you hear the conversations we have on Ways, it is set towards that agenda. But David, what's your agenda? And how do you think?
That's my agenda.
So how do you think we can make it better as the media practitioners?
I think that media practitioners, we have to be not necessarily concerned about making money, but building healthy businesses around what we do. I think that's really where the conversation is. When we have healthy media businesses, we have less of this, right? Because one of the theories of media is the agenda setting theory, right? The media are agenda setters for any country or any society. But it matters what the agenda is. And the best way to be able to effectively set agenda is to know that you have robust and healthy businesses. If you don't have healthy businesses, then you're going to be consistently prone to these kinds of things. And that's not what I want, right? I want a Nigeria where the media is actually solid, pretty solid, where a candidate can say, we're going to sue you if you cover this news story, and the media company will not be afraid to take it down. Because first of all, they know that they can go to court and they have a valid case and they can spend, because court cases are expensive, but also because they know they have healthy businesses. And if this person decides that they are not going to spend money on that media company, it may be a loss, but not that big of a loss.
An impact.
That's my ideal outcome.
Absolutely. But thank you so much. I think we've had a fantastic conversation. Money.
Thank you for having me.
Let's make more money. That's bottom line of what David has just said. But you see, Nigeria is so.
I said I was going to say that.
the Nigeria is so vindictive, right? So even when you are running a genuine business, they use policies. Government can actually use. So there's a lot of things that needs to be in place, because if we have proper structures where the government cannot just come and clamp down on your business because they feel like you're attacking their leadership, it makes life a lot better. But thank you so much, David. We'll keep this conversation going, because I really, really did enjoy this conversation, this topic. because it's us. We have to keep holding ourselves accountable. Thank you,
Yeah.
Manny. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. Television is not a gimmick, and nobody will ever be elected to major office without representing themselves well on it. Now, we'll see you guys live on Monday at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.